What are the chances, spoiler alert, slim, that Aaron Rodgers dominates the Patriots? I was not in on the meeting on this one. Meanwhile, another edition of Case Closed with Danny Parkins.
Pack stats.
Another edition of Stats in a Suitcase. Another edition of, might be something.
Exactly. That's what it is.
I don't mind that one either. But right now, Thursday Night Football. Dolphins in Buffalo. Tua met with the media yesterday, was very complimentary of Josh Allen, maybe dissed himself. Take a listen.
He's top tier. If it's not with his arm, it's with his legs. That dude can do literally anything he wants. So definitely different skill set for me. I can't do half of what he does when it comes to running the ball and any of that. And then with how he can just chuck a ball down the field, with how far and the arm strength that he has, he's supreme when it comes to that.
Okay, here are the numbers that somewhat back up what Tua was saying. In their head-to-head meetings, Josh is eight wins, 1 loss. For team points, 33 for Josh, 17 for Tua. Everything's bad, basically, if you're on the podcast. Just imagine a graphic with Tua on one side and a bunch of numbers that are less. Josh. Brew, does this say more about Tua or Josh Allen?
Yeah, I'm going to go first because I'm going to be nice to Tua, which I don't think is going to happen on that side of the table. He's being honest, so it says more about Tua. We know what he said about Josh. Everybody agrees with that. But it says he's honest and naive, which is rare this deep into your career. Usually the media comes at you so hard that you learn, I can't say this, I can't say that. This was naive. For him to say this and really not think anything's going to come of it. So it shows his naivete. But here's my fear.
And that's the nice thing we're
Yeah,
going to say about Tua. Brew's going to be nice about Tua. Go ahead.
Here's my fear. If he is this honest and naive, what's to stop him from going up there and saying, it's cold out there? you know my record in cold weather. I don't win when it's 45 or below.
I think he means in general.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
At least he didn't say that.
Well, I don't know.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
You know I only beat tomato cans. So Tua, you gotta learn from this. Sometimes just zip it and don't say what you're actually feeling.
Yeah, I mean, now I feel like I can be as mean as I want.
Yeah,
that was not very kind.
Very.
It's a ridiculous thing to say. Tua sounds like he is Josh Allen's backup.
Exactly right.
Well, he would be.
Well, sure, he would be if there. Except Josh Allen makes $55 million this year. Tua makes $53.
That's right.
Like, it's a very silly thing to say. I remember talking to Mark Schlereth about how he once felt when his team was getting ready to play the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. And he said during warm-ups, he was like looking across the field, and he was just thinking to himself, he's like, we've got no shot today. But he didn't say it.
Right.
Like, imagine if he had said it the Wednesday before they played the Cowboys. It probably would not have played terribly well in the locker room. Like, how does a Dolphins player feel when our quarterback doesn't think that he can measure up to the other team's quarterback and is willing to say it? Like, I understand the athlete criticism of media is you guys kill us for cliches, you want us to be honest, and then you kill us for honesty. Mm-hmm. But come on, man.
But the reality is we don't kill him for cliches. But you don't.
We just ignore him.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes.
You get upset.
Nobody's ever criticized Patrick Mahomes for
being boring.
Being boring at press conferences.
Dak.
And so, right, there's no penalty to it. We do love honesty because it gives us content, but usually it's got to err on the side of bravado, not err on the side of almost woe is me. But I'm going to spin this a little bit, if I may, Wilds. I don't blame Tua for being Tua. Like, I don't blame Tua for not being mobile. They knew that when they signed him. I don't blame Tua for not having a strong arm. They knew that when they signed him. And I don't blame, I think he's been clumsy at press conferences this year. You guys know I thought that he shouldn't have said publicly what he said about Tyreek, even though Tyreek was the villain in that story. It was an unnecessarily, he unnecessarily added fuel to that story by talking about how Tyreek had to make up to him. I think he's been bad at press conferences. That's not really the problem. The problem is, in my opinion, Wilds, that graphic existed in large part the exact same, just a few less games, when they signed him to this deal. You cannot be an elite quarterback and be consistently so thoroughly outplayed by the guy who is your age in your division. Like the Herbert Mahomes thing, if we had prior to this weekend, or last weekend, put up that graphic, the record would have been jarring, but the other numbers are, it's like, okay, Patrick's better, but Herbert played well in those games, and they were close games. We talked about it at the time. Like, the Dolphins are the ones who had all this information about who Tua was as a player, his limitations, his strengths, and said, we're tying all our fortunes to you. And that was honestly the beginning of the end for Mike McDaniel. It was the beginning of the end for this whole kind of Dolphins iteration. And I said it at the time that I have graded Mike McDaniel on a curve of, hey, look at what he's doing with a quarterback that I feel is limited. But once you pay him like he's a star, and now we're hearing even he doesn't think he's a star. Like Tua Tagovailoa clearly doesn't think he's a star. Like, because unless he thinks Josh Allen's the greatest quarterback in the history of the league. Because if that's how he feels about Josh, in the same honesty thing, what if he's asked about Lamar or Patrick, or for that matter, your guy, Justin Herbert? Like, all those guys are more mobile than him. All those guys have a stronger arm than him. And so that's the problem.
It's a crisis of confidence in Miami.
I think he does think he's a star, though.
How?
I mean, all he was saying is, I can't throw it as far as him, and I can't run it like him, which are just
I can't run it or throw it like him.
which is just the truth.
No, but I feel like
I mean, I get you don't, like I said, you don't always have to say what's true out there, but I think he demanded a certain amount of money.
No, but let me ask you this. Dak Prescott can't run like Josh Allen and can't throw as far as Josh Allen. Dak Prescott
Dak is better at press conferences. He's only going to say cliché.
I'm not even talking about what he would say. Do you think Dak Prescott deep down thinks the gap between he and Josh Allen's that big? I bet he doesn't. I think
delusional confidence.
Yeah,
of
like
athletes.
that. Yeah, and right, that Dak Prescott, if he doesn't think he's better than Josh, thinks it's close. To me, and I agree with you in theory about complimenting the honesty, but that was a reveal that Tua does not think he's close to Josh Allen. And that's a huge problem. That's the guy you got to beat. Well, but we're allowed to think that, right? Like, we're not him.
We're not that far away from the Dolphins having to stop scoring points against the Broncos to be nice. And that was an era.
Well, it's sort of 70, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, oh my gosh, Mike McDaniel is a genius. Tua has two great weapons on the outside that can burn you down the sideline. They can run the ball. This team is electric. There's been a drainage of confidence from this team that is now exhibiting himself.
Yeah, it's a bad coach. But this is the first, because Tua has won. I know he hadn't beaten good teams.
Yes.
But his record is really strong. It's like
60% of his
And the team fell apart last year without him.
Yes, that's the thing. They win with him, win fairly big, and then lose big without him. So
this 0-2 has hurt more than any other 0-2.
Just very quick.
Yeah.
They feel like the post-70-point Dolphins, or the 70-point Dolphins compared to now, feel like a boxer that got knocked out once and was never the same.
Roy Jones.
You know what I mean? They feel like once, and I'm not smart enough, on the X's and O's stuff to know what teams did, but once teams cracked their quick motion or whatever it was.
They've been figured out.
Right. Since they've been figured out, they didn't have another pitch, and they have been rattled in a way.
Some of that's probably, or not probably, because of Tua's limitations.
Yes.
That's the thing.
100%.
All right, so I'm kind of rooting for the Dolphins in that one, to be honest with you. I feel so
That'd
bad.
be great.
Parkins, first to market with this, just floated it as an idea. Could the Giants beat the Chiefs? Kansas City favored by 6 on Sunday night. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think for myself, just being better at executing in some of those earlier moments in the game especially. If I kind of sit in that pocket a little bit longer, trust those guys, get the ball to guys down the field, I feel like we can make some more explosive plays. And so That was stuff I scouted on myself. But no, we're going up against a good defensive team this week, especially that D-line. And so finding the right moments to take those shots downfield, but not taking the negative plays as well.
How much of this 0-2 start is on Patrick Mahomes, Danny?
Not much. I think, honestly, like if we looked at it and said, he's done this without Rashee Rice, he's done it without Xavier Worthy, he's done it with a rookie left tackle. I think Mahomes has gotten rid of the ball a little quicker than he needs to based on what some of the data says, like in terms of like how much time he has to throw. And so maybe he's trying to figure that piece of it out. But he's like, I got to take deep shots to Tyquan Thornton. Like it's not exactly, that's not what Josh Allen is doing. It's not what Lamar Jackson's doing. It's not what Justin Herbert is working with. And so when I've watched Mahomes this year, he's looked like he's scrambling too much, certainly. But for the most part, he's looked like Mahomes. He's looked like he's been let down by his situation around him and not him. But when you said, like, I was the first one to float it, it's probably just because I've gambled on football for 20 years. But 6-point underdogs win in the NFL all the time. Like, it's definitely on the board that the New York Giants at home as a 6-point underdog in a night game beat the Chiefs. And I know you said it was not possible earlier, Brew, but it just objectively is.
Counterpoint, it's objectively not.
This is not a pro-Giants thing. It's just I watch professional football
You're just
thing.
saying that because of the spread? I mean,
Correct.
So if it was -11, you would be like,
there's a much better chance that the Giants beat the Chiefs than there is that the Dolphins beat the Bills.
Yeah,
a much better chance.
So here's the thing. I understand that's the gambling spread. It's true. No, I understand that is correct that is what Vegas thinks. What I am sitting here telling you is, of all the teams playing this weekend, the single team most unlikely to lose is the back against their wall, gotta have it, dynastic Chiefs. I'm not saying it will be pretty. I'm not saying they'll even cover. What I'm saying is that the gap between the Chiefs and blowing out the Giants or whatever, that's a separate thing too. If Patrick plays all 60 minutes, are the Chiefs going to lose that football game? And in my opinion, the answer to that's no, which is why a first cousin of it to answer this question is, how much of the Chiefs 0-2 start is on Mahomes? The least of any player on the team. And now he's the most important player on the team, but he also, in my opinion, of every player on the team, has played the best. Now, he has not played his best. Correct. And so it's kind of, a little trick mirror on what we're asking here. Mm-hmm. But I thought the only reason they were in that week 1 game was because of what he was able to do with his legs. And I thought in week 2, listen, he missed that first pass of the game, and he missed the late pass to Thornton, but then he 90% made up for it by hitting the deep pass to him 2 plays later. I think given what the Chiefs, how the defense played in game 1, what the receivers have done throughout 2 weeks, what the running back position has done, I don't think there's any quarterback in the league you could have put on the Chiefs these 2 weeks, and they're not 0-2. And so, I don't think...
I would not... I agree with you guys that it's not on Mahomes, and he would be the least guy to blame. Like you said, they're only in that game against the Chargers because of his legs. And if Kelsey catches that ball, they might win that game. Yeah, they might win that game. So, but Mahomes, as you said, hasn't been at his best. He hasn't